100 days from the election now, less than. I have a hard time believing the Wayfair thing based on the Russia. Mostly anything dealing with Russia, I have a hard time to believe.
You fill 1,700 pages, and maybe you'll want to write more of them. I mean, everything we're talking about, you could have a page and a half.
And maybe they'd read more of them too.
Yeah.
Because the long form discussion is taking over these news segments, are taking over these spoon-fed, prepackaged media sound bites that we get every day.
Media. Yep.
Do you think anyone on the left should have been blamed for this?
The insurrection?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the entire media.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Lord,
hey everyone, Dave here, December 1773. With me as always is Ryan. This is episode 88 of The Weekly Show, all of the week's hottest topics with a twist. To catch us, be sure to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. More importantly, follow us on the Rumble. The Rumble really likes Ryan's dad, our special guest here.
Hi guys.
They must have been very entertained by you last time because the algorithm took hold and that video had quite a few views.
Well, I'm glad I could help out a little bit.
You're a well-liked individual.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
I'm going out of town this week, and the old man's birthday is tomorrow, so what better way to have it drop?
I'm honored you guys have me on. I really am. I feel very blessed that I'm allowed to partake in this. Your topics are very interesting and poignant, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you can keep talking us up for a couple minutes. I mean, we don't have to get right into it.
Well, listen, this brought to you by the fact that he's my son, and I love him so much.
There's no bias at all. He's our biggest fan for no other reason.
Because that is a very good autograph.
Well,
yeah, I didn't.
I know.
Sign it yet.
I know, and I'll come down there to get it.
Also, in studio, you can't see her, but Eve is in studio.
I seen you mixing around back there earlier. Hi, Eve. Hi. Hi, Eve's hand.
Eve's forearm.
I'm telling you, we're gonna get her. We're gonna get her on camera at some point.
Come on, Eve. Come and say hi.
What we should do is just get the back of her head on camera. Like the camera should be facing the computer screen in front of her, and just be the back of her head, be like the silhouette.
She's gonna be producer extraordinaire, but she needs to.
Like Oracle from Batman.
Yeah, you would have your own headset.
Yeah.
Oh boy, she feels important now.
Yeah.
And I want my own chair.
Okay, you'll have your own chair.
Okay.
God,
Wow.
Jeez, man.
I'm not gonna make you stand while you do it.
You should. It's a patriarchy.
How about an orange crate?
Equity and all.
Before we get really into it here, just a general rundown. We're going to be talking about some Biden gas prices and administrative cutbacks that they're doing. They're trying to jack up the average miles per gallon standards. We're going to be talking about that. Something related that Visa and Mastercard are doing, which should be interesting. We're going to talk about Jen Psaki. She's going to be leaving the White House. Ted Cruz had a post about Ketanji Brown Jackson that should make everyone a little bit nervous about her. And the FEC, we were talking about the Steele dossier last week, bringing it back because Trump is suing over it. The FEC has fined Hillary Clinton and the DNC. So we're going to get all to those things. Ryan's mad and he has beef, just like we have beef with YouTube and Facebook.
I have legit reason for beef, though. Because as somebody...
Should I play? No, I'm not.
Go ahead, try it.
It'll be a copy.
All the same. Look, I don't hate these people. I'd love to meet them and have conversations and all this other great stuff like everybody else would. But Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro this week, like they really picked an itch with me. Ben Shapiro in particular. Now, Daily Wire apparently is investing around $100 million for kids programming because Disney was caught in some undercover video released saying that they are programming children, trying to push ideologies basically on them, especially when it came to LGBT, W, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and Florida and DeSantis are taking some offense to it as well. They're actually making some action, though.
Maybe one day we should actually talk about why it's not okay we discuss sexual anything with children. But until then, I guess I'll keep pushing forward. It's not that I'm mad at Ben Shapiro in particular. I know why he is the way he is and all these other things. He's very factual, analytical based. I can't be mad at the man for always trying to provide the highest quality information that is vetted and through these sources and these metrics. I admire that. We go to him. I go to him for the very information. I relay to people that I know, and because I trust him more than I trust others. But like I agree. Like I'm not here to shit talk that. But I have seen him speak about elites. Okay, the whole week about Disney, and he said very similar shit that Alex Jones has said. That guy was called crazy. I was called crazy. The elites, yeah, Disney's brainwashing your kids. No, well, 5 corporations own everything you say. No, everything you see, hear, smell, taste, touch is owned by very few things. No, now it's everybody acts like they know. Ben Shapiro can stand there and say, we're going to invest all this money. But Alex Jones is out there on the little fringe. Now, granted, I know he was a little off the wagon. That's just what makes it so highly entertaining.
Yeah, for sure. There was a lot of entertainment value. But he was right about a lot of stuff. Looking back, he was just ahead of his time. He had the information first, and people didn't believe him or didn't want to believe him.
But it's just, look, you can have it one way, you can have it the other. You can wait to say the elites, but just to openly speak about elites. We spoke last week about New World Order and everything, how they're openly talking about New World Order and stuff of that nature. Like, that stuff is serious things. And people just, like, take it for face value now. It's because it's been circled on TikTok enough that people are like, yeah, there's these documents. I've seen the documents you guys are talking about. I predict the things that even happens. I predict from my living room with my friend through the internet. We just like find some like-minded stuff. We're like, oh my God, look, blah, blah, blah. And we can predict the future. But that's like...
That seems a little odd, doesn't it? That we can do that with almost no resources put behind this.
Yeah, and you would almost think that, like, by default, that would get pushed in the algorithm, right? And then you'd bring up how there's these censorship. No, censorship isn't happening. Cancel culture is literally here. We literally have a term for it. There was no term for cancel culture before getting canceled, because remember, it didn't exist. Right. It only happened on the fringe, right? And it was always justified. Yeah, it was justified. Just like I'll get to it later about New York State and some Indians, the feathers, not dot ones.
Feathers, not dots. Sounds like a great website.
Look, like Hero. Once again, I applaud Shapiro for the way he is, and like this thing is very rich, structured, like life, and he's like, great. I'm not here to do that, but dude, people been screaming about this. I've been talking about this, and now I gotta see Ben Shapiro talk about it, and everybody's like, yep. It's like, do you know how crazy people called me? I'm not here to like give recognition. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm just saying, to see it go full circle in the ether. These people made fun of Alex Jones. Ben Shapiro called him crazy. Although I will say the positive thing is that it is going full circle and it is becoming mainstream. That is a good thing. It is a shame they didn't catch on sooner. Maybe some of these, things could have been stopped or prevented. But it's too slow now because of an invisible thing that I'll never talk about ever again, but I have to. Because it's like that New World Order that I openly talked about for a while, other people openly talked about. I just regurgitated information that's now correct, but it was crazy. I got to see these very people. So I got beef with that. Tim Cass is one thing I have beef with him, is he never picks a fucking side. Mr. In the middle, I'm going to hear both sides. You don't. I just heard a statistic from some dude and some whatever, fucking all these things that these people can reference and measure. He said it only takes 10% of people to actually believe something and never move, and you can sway everybody else. Or it's just it becomes a better idea. Like 10% of people believe one thing, it will naturally become part of our culture. And you can list that with anything. Look at what Kanye West does, for a celebrity example. Kim Kardashian or Will Smith, perhaps.
Staged.
I'm going to get there right now because Joe Rogan, okay? I have a little beef with him. Not to separate from Tim Cass, but he does need to pick a side, because if you don't stand for anything, you will fall for everything. Because you're trying to be Mr. Happy in the middle, and that's not a knock to you. I know it's noble. Once again, it's a noble stance. It's not like it takes great courage. They're the Prometheuses of the new media, carrying knowledge to all of us, and all I can do is try to grab a little matchstick of fire and throw it at other people. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they're doing. I'm not here to like take away from their legacy and how great it is, but it's you can't. It's not how the world works. It's not gonna happen. Maybe I'm too disagreeable, like Jordan Peterson would call me. Joe Rogan. I listened to a couple things. Jordan Peterson would, because I actually paid for his exam, his personality test, and he said I'm highly disagreeable. So, like 99% disagreeable, more than most people. Should have gave me the money.
Should have gave me the money and saved the aggravation.
No, I encourage everybody to do them because they are eye-opening if you can be transparent with yourself. So my Rogan beef this week, which I always love to do because it's the same premise with all these other guys that are fucking awesome that I have to trash talk and hold to an opinion, because we have to look through their way, because they influence us in such a way, and it's like I understand how like a guy like Will Smith can get away with what he did, because there's just so much like envy and like this and that, like there's just so much cloud if you think about rap and call it that way, but like. So Rogan was out this week. He had a couple videos among different days with different guests. I just caught the clips on YouTube's. But there was like one guy, and he talked about Will Smith slapping and how it's assault and everything else. And now, obviously, we've seen Will Smith in the media this week heavily because of obvious things. I think maybe we can round out with our opinion on the slap later, because it's like taxing at this point. But like, my point of bringing up Rogan is the way Rogan was talking reminded me a little snowflakey, because he himself got canceled for using a certain slur, and he had to come out and issue an apology. So basically, he metaphorically slapped people with certain language, and it offended them. But at the time, he thought it was context, it was comedy, right? He thought it was all this I was just saying in comedy. I didn't understand, right? But Chris Rock made a joke which wasn't even written by him, and it comes off, and he's just doing his job, and then Joe Rogan can say it's an attack on comedy, when he himself has had to retract things for which you could call at the time an attack on comedy. Don't censor yourself. Don't give in to cancel culture. Don't give an inch, because they'll never end, right? How many times have you heard this from other people?
Is that what he was saying, though, about the situation?
Yeah, he had a thing talking about how it was like he wasn't thinking, he was acting out of emotion, and he's like, he like should issue apology or maybe get fined, or like that may be thing, or I don't know.
Will Smith, right?
Yeah, about
Not
Will
Chris
Smith.
Rock.
No, about Will Smith, yes. But he just, he just had not a hypercharged opinion. The guy should. He's like leading the media. Once again, new media. Thank you, the grandfathers of Mount Rushmore of new media. We need you. But like, we gotta have a conversation at some point with these people, because like it comes off a little fake to me. Not that you're fake people or bad or have bad intentions of swaying things, but like you should try to be as solid as you can. Like some of the jokes Rogan made in context with the N-word that I even heard myself on his podcast were jokes. So to even come out and issue an apology on jokes, when you go to comedy, every time I've been to a comedy show, which is, I've seen probably 20 different comedy acts, like of individual people. And they always talk about how nobody should be offended at comedy shows, and we're here to laugh and get over social bias and all these things, right? This openness that we all need, this elasticity. And then the very guy who says the shit is out like protruding it with Will Smith and saying all these things. He's got to issue all these apologies when he himself went back on his own beliefs. You allowed comedy to die when you issued your apology. That you're going to censor yourself, or like you're going to self-censor, you're going to have filters before your videos for controversial ideas. I thought that's what freedom allows. Nothing's controversial if you have true freedom. Well, there's nothing's controversial. There would be except like the things that go against morals in society and the laws we can agree on.
There'd be no Richard Pryor or Red Fox or a lot of great comedians.
Yeah, they didn't apologize, but that's the thing. They didn't fucking apologize.
Yeah. Archie Bunker.
But they didn't. Look, I don't care about those people right now, because we're talking about the new media, Dad. Right. This guy stands for the defense of comedy.
Freedom of America.
Yeah, but he defended comedy, like all these things, but he himself went back and helped erode comedy.
Right. Well, that's the problem, is the road to hell is
Paved with great intentions.
Right. So, I mean, he's probably meaning well, but he doesn't know the long-term effects of his decisions and actions at this point.
I know why Rogan did what he did. I'm not mad at him and stuff.
No,
it's
it's
like,
just, dude, he had to cover his ass because he's got to pay his bills.
I know, but it's calling the kettle black when he's calling out Will Smith for attacking comedy.
I think that was.
He should have verbally Will Smith people about the controversy. But I'm not saying it. Look at the Batman that's famous. No, you're not. But, that's the idea of it. Like
watching Will Smith, I mean, the whole thing to me seems staged because Will Smith has been trained in a lot of stuff.
I'm not talking about Will Smith. He's ate up enough of people's lives this week. I will go to the end of the links, maybe at the end of the program. But I'm here to talk specifically to focus on Joe Rogan's double dipping. Like I've always caught him doing. I just caught him on the very similar podcast, similar to that, talking all these this progressive liberal ideology and all this stuff. You championed that shit when you lived in California.
One of my favorite conservative stations is slowly but surely changing over the narrative they're reading.
WBN, they're probably bought out.
It's pissing me off because a young man that I watched him start off there, he was doing real well, and all of a sudden now he's giving into this and that and this and that. And to be an American is to question everything and never to go along with the crowd just because the crowd's going down the street.
Well, we know why they attack America, because they want a new world order.
All right, yeah. Well, they're not getting it out of me.
The year is 2034. You own nothing. You have no freedom. You're the happiest you've ever been.
I'll be close to death then. I just hope that you guys burn my body up before they turn it into McDonald's chicken nuggets.
The point of it is when we talk about like New World Order and what they're saying, all this stuff, you're literally attacking the human species.
Right.
You know, so it's like an assault on everybody's ancestors and past. We always hear about slavery and all these other things in our past we got to feel bad for. Well, how do you feel bad for all your ancestors that are like basically sacrificed for nothing for you to just willingly throw away the power you were given that you don't fully understand?
What happens when Bill Gates' clone suddenly they realize that the serving robots he has no longer need him? Because they take care of their own needs. They don't need Bill Gates' clone to run around anymore and get rid of him.
Bill Gates ain't real, Dad. He's just a simulation.
Well, just like Hawking. I don't think Hawking was real after about, that guy
definitely could walk. He just lied.
No. He had the disease that they claimed he had.
Alopecia?
No. No, his hair didn't fall out. Everything else did.
Ryan, that joke's not funny.
Yeah, the wrong shampoo.
Well, it's kind of funny that alopecia and a drug for alopecia get announced on the same day as the Oscars or whatever.
Yeah, we'll get there. I'll talk about the scumbag Jada Pinkett Smith 304, and I will talk about that through a masculine lens at the end of this program for all the boys out there that don't understand how women work, because that's what this is all about. It's about a broad.
Oh, whatever.
I'm just telling.
All right, what's the project now?
Alopecia. I thought alopecia was one of Jada Pinkett's mistresses. Mistresses? How would it be?
Pool boys.
Mr. I.
Pool boys.
Mr. I.
Pool boys. Alopecia is Jada Pinkett's pool boy.
Pool boy. Yo, bitch, get down here.
Well, Ryan, since you were talking about the World Economic Forum,
I'm cleaning it.
You're the happiest you've ever been. You owe nothing. That's kind of similar to this. Ted Cruz took to the big tech to issue a complaint about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Ketanji.
Oh, no.
Complaint, David.
I don't know what a woman is?
So, no. We talked about that, though, as you know. So, in post-hearing for the appointed justice, they have a written questionnaire they have to fill out. And here's her response to one of these here. Please explain in your own words the theory prevalent among members of the Founding Fathers generation that humans possess natural rights that are inherent or inalienable. And it's like a test response here. The theory that humans possess inherent or inalienable rights is reflected in the Declaration of Independence, which states we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creators with certain unalienable rights. Among those are life, liberty, and happiness. Of course, we're all familiar with these terms. Her response was, "Do you hold a position on whether individuals possess natural rights? Yes or no?" Her response was, "I do not hold a position on whether individuals possess natural rights."
That's instant rejection of That's communism. That's instant rejection. She cannot uphold the Constitution with an opinion like that.
She will, though.
How does that not immediately disqualify you?
Well, this is like the whole thing, right? Why was she even selected to begin with, David?
Well, she's a black woman, and she can't describe what a woman is. Well,
but that's why she was picked.
You can't be described as a woman, then you therefore are not qualified to be a woman black representative.
We talked about this. Even Google is left as they are. Google can define a woman if you just type it in. The definition comes right up.
Hold on.
I wish Google would left.
Siri, what is a woman? Whoa, Siri's no longer a woman by default. No, Siri.
Did she come up with
define woman? Woman belonging to a specific group or having specific role of occupation. A noun denoting a woman skilled and associated with a specified activity. A noun, an adult female.
There you go.
Define female. Define female.
Define female.
Down the rabbit hole we go.
Female was right, but
yeah. Well, DNA.
That's the answer. That's the answer. What they were looking for. Very simple, clear cut. Adult female.
X and Y.
Yeah, so when it came to the Constitution and individual liberty and the Declaration of Independence, she did not share the same values that the... is that because freedom is...
Well, she didn't necessarily say they don't possess natural rights. She just doesn't have... She doesn't hold a position on it, frankly.
Well, then she shouldn't hold a position in the federal government at all.
I hate these
How do you not hold a position on whether or not you believe in rights? That's a pretty straightforward question.
She wasn't told to.
Well, this makes you really wonder, does she actually believe it? Or was she told to say that? Or did she even get here because she just thinks that she's going to get 6 figures a year and my generation isn't the one that's got to deal with the New World Order and you own nothing? Because all these people that are like selling us art, they know the plan, right? So they're going to try to get the biggest piece of pie they want, even though they're going to lose everything. It's just going to happen slower than it does for the average person. But they are going to lose. There's only going to be one of them. You know, they'll battle it out with fucking robot suits on. And
I feel sorry for them thinking,
hey, this Ray Kurzweil thinks he's going to resurrect his dead dad with dreams from his diary.
What I think's crazy is I'm probably
a guy that believes in singularity and is working towards to merge humans and machines together.
A guy like me would make out better if the New World Order took over. I did really well with Obama. I got to sit on unemployment for 15 months on a job I had for 9.
There you go.
I got a free phone for over 10 years.
Open change.
Oh, you can thank Bush for that phone.
No, it started with Obama and stuff.
It was Clinton as well.
But whatever. It's just been one big total.
I wonder why the government want to give you access to phones.
Well, what I think's funny is
your data's not important. Here's a phone so we can fucking track.
You don't need to stick this thing in your arm. You're going to carry it in your back pocket.
This is going to be a super branch. I know we're in the middle of something, but I read something that for the first time they have successfully mapped one whole human genome.
Yes.
No,
whatever.
I find it highly ironic that the very few years that they're just compiling everybody's nose swabs on a piece of paper and cardboard to let you know that we just go turn it into a lab somewhere, and Ancestry.com that helps police find cold cases that are 100 years old, like the Zodiac Killer and the Golden State Murderer.
It's even weirder that it's only like a year. It's only like a year after the Chinese said they wanted to map everybody's DNA.
Huh. And CRISPR's been in the works for like 5 years, and then I just happened to read an article that they're like, yeah, we mapped the whole genome. Like, there's a couple patch holes that we were missing, and we finally were able to do it. Like, oh, that's weird. I wonder if all these samples that you openly got.
Those open samples are me and Genghis Khan.
That's Blue Eyes got here somehow.
That's mine.
You're either related to Genghis Khan or the royal family.
Both. Come on, man. The princesses love the bad boys.
Yeah, this is no accident. This is no accident.
No, I am no accident at all.
No, I'm talking about them having the entire genome map the very year that
Of course.
they have all this data and information.
Listen, they've got a seed bank in Norway. They've got a DNA bank in China. They have 3D printing capabilities. They've got almost humanoid-looking robots. All they have to do is download your DNA into a sequencer, turn it into a program.
Dude, just wait until
suddenly you're an immortal robot forever. And just like the Bible predicts, there shall be no death. Bang, there you go.
Mm. Yeah, we spoke
Imagine
about
that.
VR heaven. VR heaven, we talked about that.
I could honestly, even though I could do it. I could sit in VR for a while.
Yeah, I could probably.
It would depend on the.
I saw an article that did I send this to you, Ryan?
Oh.
No, I would want to go to better brothels than they've got in this country. That's for sure.
What was that, Dave?
Did I send you the article about the exchange where you could live 150 years longer, but you'd have to live in VR? It was a scientific article. They could keep you alive on like machines and stuff. They could keep you alive for 150 years, but
I'm sure it will be 150 years
because certain things would slowly start to die.
No broken
Yo, this
bones.
is how they start the game Fallout 4. If you ever played that and they wake up, they take the kids.
At 120 years, the body starts to really break down bad.
Yo, it doesn't matter.
We've got.
They wouldn't keep you alive for 150 years. They say we're alive all right. You tell me the viruses of humanity, like, yeah, we do everything.
Yeah,
You're
it was a humane killing.
Give me fucking water. Are you serious?
It was a
Are you
humane
serious?
killing.
I seen a thing that they had Bluetooth headphones with an air purifying mask attached to it. You look like
It's kind of funny.
They don't
You
even
look vain.
breathe oxygen.
Have you seen any of the articles about 5G and the response to the nanoparticles they're putting in the shot?
Hey, don't say that. Don't say that.
All right, I didn't.
No, it'll still be shown on Rumble. You can
Yeah. Well, you know.
Sometimes you have to read between the lines, and sometimes the lines hit you in the face.
Like these three.
Visa and Mastercard are changing their rules for gas stations to avoid a $125 pump limit.
Oh, Jesus.
Visa Inc. and Mastercard are planning a raft of changes to rules for gas station to allow larger transactions after a surge in fuel prices across the U.S. made it hard for some drivers to fill up using credit cards. That is definitely the first time I've read an article like this.
Listen, a country that could produce its own oil in a day.
Joe Biden did do that.
No, totally.
We're just going to take from our air
It has to
reserve.
be Putin.
It's got to be Putin, yeah. Putin also...
By the way,
reserve.
Governor Greg Abbott of Texas was many weeks after us in acknowledging the fact that the gas prices have slowly been on the rise since Biden took office. And then there was a minor increase after the Russia invasion, but they've been very steadily going up the entire time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg Abbott, for catching on.
Yeah, we here did it from our couch. Good work, Dave.
Yeah, we with all the staff we have. Jen Psaki would circle back and spin the story, but she is leaving next month to go to MSNBC, if you can even believe it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be, I wonder if this is what they mean by working with media to stop disinformation.
Many subtle...
You can't tell me that there's no media bias when people are literally leaving the administration to go to the media.
I mean, what was
It's not biased.
What was the Trump press secretary, McCabe or whatever?
Oh, I don't know. There was like 7,000 of them.
No,
to be fair, that was probably a very difficult job.
The hop on with fake boobs or whatever.
Yeah, but it had to be very entertaining.
Yeah, oh yeah.
My goodness.
Some of them were pretty good at it.
Can you imagine some of the crazy lunatics that walked into his office?
But she's been on, my point of bringing up A.B. McCabe or whatever her name is that she's been on Fox News as like a contributor and stuff, but she didn't get like a permanent position. We saw Sean Spicer, was that dude's name? And then he wrote like a book.
I remember him. He was like the first one, I think.
Yeah, and then he like shit talked about Trump and stuff and made jokes. So.
And then Trump slapped him.
Trump slap. Instead of bitch slap, it's a Trump slap.
I mean, they were going to have the Trump secretary on Fox News, but they're going to take Caitlyn Jenner instead.
Yeah, I seen that this week. That was pretty startling.
Is it possible that Fox News is more woke than CNN? Does CNN have a trans host?
I'm glad he didn't give his balls up yet, Bruce. You know, he still like leans conservative Republican.
I thought you meant the biological balls, because I was going to say I'm pretty sure those are gone.
Oh, he's vaxxed now?
Not figurative. I thought you meant literal. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know from experience or anything, but
dude, I can't wait for like natural.
We'll find out. You want Google it? Google it.
I actually heard a thing that was very entertaining, because it was like in the very near future, dating may be that like dudes start liking natural beauty because it's going to be hard to tell dudes apart from girls. And I was like, whoa.
There's very few that are hard to tell the difference.
I don't know. Do you get a couple beers and low light and strobe lights?
Listen, when I was down,
I worked with a dude. His name was Angel. He was gayer than a $3 bill, bro. I love that dude. But all real talk, the one time he showed me a picture of him in drag, I was like, dude, a couple beers, I wouldn't even know.
Listen, I was.
You wear a jacket, bro.
I was in Florida down one time, and I'm glad I had a guy that was a friend of mine, because this dude looked like a better chick than you can imagine, and she was getting hit on by all kinds of guys all night long, and he goes, no, hang back, watch. Found out in a hurry why.
There's a reason, dude.
Dude, just hang back.
Dude knows. Wait.
He just knew how to play him.
Can you kill the heater? Can you kill the heater?
Slightly nervous. I did hear Ryan mumble something about killing something, so his dad's going out on a hit.
Hit, run, target, run!
This is going to be used for evidence.
I'm telling you, I will get SWAT teamed on this program one day.
That is really my goal, honestly.
It's really probably going to happen.
We'll have to get. We got to be
on camera.
Yeah, we definitely got to be a bigger program before that happens. But it will happen at some point.
Yeah, bigger one. They have.
I'm okay with it.
To be honest, it'll probably be when your dad is with you. That would make the most sense. You get a nice 2 for 1 there.
Yep.
Yeah, and I got nobody to call to take care of
problem is,
they fuck up a whole family
they're
operation.
Probably not going to really like me.
Dude, double snipe shot. Double headshot at 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Was it last week we talked about Trump suing Hillary Clinton? I think it was last week.
Might have been the week before even.
Yeah, we talked about how all that stuff was fake, and
Yeah, it was so fake that they paid for a dossier and
there was no such thing as a dossier.
Everything else that we've heard about for 10 million times.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what's crazy? Is the guy that was president before the guy that's president now. I don't quite remember his name because he's not on the internet anymore.
Donald Trump.
Oh, okay. That dude told me the whole time exactly what they're saying now.
Yeah.
It was last week that Donald Trump was suing the.
Yeah. So anyway, the FEC is fining Hillary Clinton and the DNC over Trump-Russia dossier research.
Cool. Now, can they give all the money back to the American public in the form of a payment to everybody?
I mean, they could. It would be pennies, though, because the federal election regulators fined Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign and the Democratic National Committee earlier this month for not properly disclosing the money they spent on controversial opposition research that led to the infamous Trump-Russia dossier.
Controversial opposition. $8.45.
Well, hold on. What was the words, Dave? Words are very important.
Okay, so here's the other thing I wanted to talk about. I'm glad you're catching on already. This is an article from CNN, so be very
wary.
Wary of the words and the way things are worded.
That's the blueprint. This is what they really want is on CNN, and they're just going to soft serve you on MSNBC with Jim Paticki or whatever.
Jen Psaki. The DNC was fined $105,000, and the Clinton campaign was fined $8,000, according to a letter sent by the Federal Election Commission to a conservative group that requested an inquiry. $8,000 is all the Clinton campaign has to pay.
Oh my God, Hillary's got to get red roses instead of white ones.
Why would you not purposely do this? If the fine's only $8,000, why wouldn't you just do this anyway? Why
Well,
would you even report anything?
It's a good question, Dave.
why do you think a lot of companies?
Why did it
used to
take
pollute?
4 years to figure it out, or 5 years to figure
Oh,
it
well,
out?
much research had to be done.
Why do you? A lot of back in the old days, the old companies used to pay the fines instead of change over their
like filtration equipment and stuff, and yeah.
yeah.
So again, this is CNN, and you can't see this part, but there's a picture of Trump's face, and it says "related article" with a link. Trump brazenly asks Putin to release dirt about Biden's family. This is in the middle of the article.
Woo-hoo.
So they're trying to already like, all right, you're a paragraph in. Why don't you read more about Trump asking Putin?
What does
I want to know
what does Trump have to do with the actual Federal Elections Commission filing to?
Well, don't worry about that, Ryan, because Trump.
What does Trump have to do with that actually in the article?
Watermark ballots?
Because then you can talk about Trump instead.
Why talk about
You
Trump?
know why. You know why. Political candidates and groups are required to publicly disclose their spendings to the FEC, and they must explain the purpose of any specific expenditure more than $200.
For people who don't know, Dinesh D'Souza got caught for very similar things, did he not?
Sort of, yeah. He was like mishandling his campaign money. Not campaign. Well, was it? Yeah.
Misappropriation of funds?
He donated to a campaign and he did it incorrectly or something. It was like the most bogus charge. What he did was against the law, but it was like the most minimal way you could possibly do it.
So it's insider trading if you're a senator, but not as a House of Representatives member.
Yeah, pretty much. The FEC concluded that the Clinton campaign and DNC misreported the money that funded the dossier, masking it as legal services and legal and compliance consulting instead of opposition research. So here's the opposition research, right?
Opposition research is such a fucked word. Is that all the people familiar with the matter and sources and?
I thought research was all about having everybody get together and coming up with a conjecture of opinion that worked to a point where it all works for everybody instead of opposite research means that
opposition.
We're trying to find a problem.
Opposition research.
We're making sure there's a problem.
That's a federal term, right, Dave? Is that what you just said? That's a federal term.
Yeah, this is a real term. This isn't CNN posing this. This is what it's actually.
Words are important. Opposition, opponent research, and it allowed them to go get a foreign intelligence spy from fucking Britain to write up a fake dossier to influence the 2016 election.
Yes, so to be clear, the FEC's big problem is the fact that they didn't designate the money correctly, not that they purposely tried to slander a person's name with false information.
Right.
If they were to label it as opposition research, the FEC would probably investigate it and verify if it's actually a legal fucking thing to begin with. And even if it is or isn't, they would know, and there would be a paper trail for Trump to probably sue for even greater problems.
Well, that's interesting you bring that up because that's the next thing they go to talk about.
Well, I seem to recall reading something where there's 71 million votes for Trump, 80 million votes for Biden, which is 151 million.
I know, but we're talking about 16 right now.
I mean, we can get 33 million registered voters. There's like 20 million votes that are like shouldn't be there at all.
You can branch it into 2020 if they influence 16 like this. Imagine what they did in 2020.
I think but
the important thing is Trump was supposed to fucking lose in 16.
Of course he was, and it didn't happen.
They couldn't rig it big enough to like get everything made.
Well,
so what did they say in the article then, David?
So they say the dossier was compiled by retired British spy Christopher Steele. That's why it's called a Steele dossier. It contained unverified and salacious allegations. This is the part where CNN's trying not to get sued about Donald Trump, including claims that his campaign colluded with the Kremlin to win the 2016 election. Trump's campaign had numerous contacts with Russian agents and embraced Russian help, but no one was ever formally accused of conspiring with Russia, which is important because Trump was impeached over this. We gotta remember.
Legally lawfully.
If something was real, if he really confirmed violated these laws, he would be in jail. He got impeached because what he did was not what they said he did.
This kind of sounds like when he got charged with insurrection. They've been trying to get him for January 6th.
Yeah.
Which they never will, because they could
lynching,
probably impeach him because that's not holding up in a court of law, but they could never legally go after him for January 6th because there's no way that would hold up in court.
They made lynching illegal finally because they're afraid somebody might actually legally get away with lynching them.
Always on Rumble in the future when we will get black fans like China.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then you got to remember when you're reading this article too, in 2016 and 17 and as forever, I mean the entire time, they were denying all of this the entire time.
Of course.
Dude, they asked them about it in the 2020 election run.
Right.
Remember, like your buddy Putin and everything. Like,
I wonder what was encoded in that soccer ball that was handed to him.
They said the money trail behind the Steele dossier has been a subject of intense political scrutiny, which is how they chose to word it. More than $1 million flowed from the Clinton campaign and the DNC to the law firm Perkins Coie, which then hired the opposition research company Fusion GPS. That company later hired Steele and asked him to use his overseas contacts to dig up dirt about Trump's ties to Russia, which is opposition research.
what's crazy to think is that like they can just go overseas and be like, yeah, find something about Trump being linked to Russia when Russia's ran by the fucking mob.
And that's interesting.
So we're gonna trust, like Bert Kreischer has that joke about the machine that he just made jokes and got with the Russian mob and is stealing shit. Like literally, if that's how Russia's operating, we're supposed to go believe anything you hear from a country. Our opening of the fucking show is I don't believe anything when it deals with Russia and China. There's a reason for that. They're ran by corrupt people in ways that we can't even understand here. We get it called cancel culture and all these other things. But yeah. And get impeached for something that's not really go to a spy agent to go overseas and get information. That sounds like, can you imagine if I was a bounty hunter and I just like arrested everybody that looked like the guy I'm after? That's like what they're doing. They're just like digging up shit, trying to make like a reason. They will, the saying is they can indict a ham sandwich in a court of law. It's called a kangaroo court, that you're basically already found guilty before you're even brought up before the courtroom. Kangaroo court happens all the time. Banana Republic is another term for it, which is a clothing line that people wore. I was like, oh my God, look at this. Like, yeah, you don't even know what you're dealing with.
And the entire time while everybody was denying everything, the media was, of course, pushing it as fact. And now they're starting to admit, like they did with the Hunter Biden laptops, Steele has maintained that his research was unverified, required further investigation, and was not meant for public disclosure. And notice they used the term maintain. That's because that it was always his position. But back in 2016, CNN was not saying that he maintained this position. They were just pushing the memos. They say, but the memos were leaked in January 2017, weeks before Trump took office. Over the years, a series of investigations and lawsuits have discredited many of Steele's central allegations about collusion and exposed the unreliability of Steele's sourcing.
It's crazy they say leaks too when we're always told data doesn't matter and we're all secure and it's the safest and secure elections when we vote by mail and stuff. But the fucking president's email gets hacked. You know what I mean? Like these things just get released. People are familiar with the metal sources, and then I see that the sources are fake. Like this. I don't think anybody's ever tried to take on everything all at once like this before.
No.
Like that's what you got to do here because this is so entrenching, you know? And like back to like you said about all these articles lying the entire time and propping up a fake story. You sent me the 4 things that make Stockholm syndrome possible.
Yes.
And it's very reminiscent.
Do you remember what they are?
I could look it up, but it was like seclusion, repetition, or something, right?
Yes. So
shock, isolation, indoctrination, reward.
Let's talk about this real quick because how long ago did you make this? What episode was it? 25?
Yeah, it was very early. Political Stockholm Syndrome was episode 24 of the weekly show. We're on 89.
88. So 64 episodes ago.
Yeah, Political Stockholm Syndrome.
And just to refresh everybody, Ryan, what were we talking about in that episode?
I'm pretty sure we were just talking about how we like lied to everybody and smoke screened us to like just get us to believe everything. And we're so bombarded with information and death and all this bad shit that you're just like, I'll do whatever. I'll lose all my rights. I'll take anything away. I'll close all the businesses. We'll 2 weeks to flatten the curve, even though it was 5 years. Like it doesn't. We'll go 5 year, $50,000 billion in debt and have 70-year inflation rates that never been seen in human history before with the most valuable country ever. Like this is what we're gonna see. We're gonna see shit like this. And like it's not a joke. I came on the program and said inflation is double what it is, and that was at 4%. Now we're talking at 8%. You know, like what? Yeah, political Stockholm syndrome. They just flood you with everything. It's the Hegelian dialectic as well.
I got it's 2 quick things. We have talked about Joe Biden's Facebook posts many times on the show. Mm-hmm. And you just talked about something that reminded me of this. So Joe Biden is on here right now, and here's his post from an hour ago. Last year, we reduced the deficit by more than $350 billion. This is how narratives happen because it's very careful wording. Last year, we reduced the deficit by more than $350 billion. And now under my budget, we're on track for the largest one-year reduction in deficit in U.S. history. Okay. Which sounds great. But does deficit spending, right? It was over $3 trillion, right, in 2020, and they're saying, well, this year it's only going to be 2,700 or 2.7 trillion, 2,700 billion.
Oh, a great net negative savings of $270 billion.
Yeah, the government runs like $300 million a day or something crazy.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to believe the $1 billion that you're fucking.
All right. But where it gets interesting is notice he's very careful in that he only compares it to the previous year.
Right.
Which was the highest year of spending in the nation's history.
I have
That's weird.
Strange thought though.
That makes your statistics.
Do you know what the second highest year of spending was in our nation's history?
I'm gonna guess under the Great Depression or World War II.
No, it was literally the year
Obama.
he's bragging. It's the year he's bragging about, 2021.
Oh, nice. So we got 2 record years in a row.
So he's on here saying, "Wow, this is a great deficit reduction."
The words are important.
And what you could also say is it's the second most any president's ever spent after the most a president has ever spent. He has number 1 and number 2 in the bag.
This is political Stockholm syndrome. That's the reward, is saying that, look, last year, this is what fucking Winston did in 1984. He would say chocolate has never been short. And then he goes in every article that ever talked about chocolate having a shortage before, and he races them and always say, there's always been this amount of chocolate. So that people are just like, oh my God, we've always just been able to eat one little piece of chocolate, even though there was bricks of candy waiting for my kid at the store a generation ago.
Right. Well, I got a segue thing. If COVID kept everybody home and there was nobody driving, how come there's a shortage of gas? We didn't burn up 2 years worth of everybody staying at home's worth of
They
gas.
shut a pipeline down and they stopped fracking.
Well, what's interesting about the shortage is that there's not a shortage. And the reason there's not a shortage is because they didn't cap their prices. For those keeping score at home, the score was
bullshit.
This was
all right, thank you.
I don't remember what the score was. It was like 5-4 or something.
Sound out.
I hit the
I have a bad record with this.
I had to take
But no, nothing. We were just sitting here having our conversation. We now have a headphone, so we're less ghetto.
Yes.
I did enjoy the ghetto-ness, though.
The ghetto was close.
I like how you were connected, though. It was like a nice bonding moment.
Well, him and I having a bonding moment would be putting filler on a car door. It's good to see you, Dave. I don't understand why there was such a increase in viewership. Kind of interesting, you know.
I told you, you're a fan favorite.
Why is that?
What I think it was the perfect mix of a headline or thumbnail. It was just like everything was just perfect. That like all the words were. I just think.
So in other words, I'm a marketing pest.
No, I I mean, honestly, it looks ridiculous. I'm like drinking a beer.
Anybody but me.
Drinking a beer with a gun, and you're over there. I have a helmet on.
Right.
It's just insane.
All right. Well, the whole point about it is how it's marketed, man. I put it on my Facebook, and I got 700 billion robots, as you call them, but not all of them are.
Yeah, that's from smut sites that you visit.
No, that's on Instagram and everything else.
Yeah, Dad called me from his Wi-Fi phone number, and then I immediately get hit up. Hey, Big Daddy, I'm in your town. Go to this link. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Stop calling me from these numbers.
To me too, Dave.
I texted him. I sent him a message like, dude, don't call me from your fake ass phone number.
Oh man,
honestly,
you're just opening your data up. You don't know. I don't know what the fuck that is.
It's like the conservative Howard Stern show.
You'll do just fine in Meta and the VR virtual reality.
Who, me?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. I don't want nothing to do with it.
Yo, could you imagine my dad just always walking around, like, loading your pants? Oh.
No, I wouldn't be walking around loading my pants. I'd be finding somebody
The alpha of the VR sphere of women.
At risk of making this a very long episode, I only have one more thing to talk about.
All right, fantastic.
Unfortunately for everybody watching, it's about the NFL.
Wow. It seemed like 10 minutes, man.
Go Bills, go Bills.
So Ryan, I had sent you this right before we went on, but this is perfectly ties into what we were talking about in the NFL. The NFL has issued a new standard where teams must have one, what do they call it? A misrepresented community or something. It's basically black dude or a gay dude. Somebody of lesser,
or a black gay dude with a strange child or a like child that's mentally challenged.
Something they have to, forced to, required to hire somebody on their coaching staff. Not just as the old Rooney Rule was, you have to interview somebody. This, of course, comes from the Brian Flores saga that we were following. But I saw this article, and it perfectly ties into this. California's corporate diversity law was ruled unconstitutional.
Oh, no.
That was basically the same thing where board on these, if you're a corporation, somebody on the board has to be an underrepresented community member or whatever the hell that they worded it as. So
words are important.
How could... I guess the NFL can get away with this because they're a private enterprise, Ryan. Is that, I guess, where this is going to end up going?
Yeah, they can do anything they want, probably.
I'm telling you, this is going to come to everybody's place of work. This isn't going to stay in the NFL.
The NFL is the same way with Trump when he said, if they're attacking me, they're coming after you. NFL is like one of the largest. I mean, the most watched thing every year is the Super Bowl.
And then I also told you about this with the Giants. Flores's lawyer was just going to settle with the Giants, and the Giants said, "No, we're not going to settle. Why don't we let the truth come out in court?" So I think that's the Giants' way of saying, we know what happened. You guys aren't getting away with this.
I think the unions have long lost their usefulness, and they're just trying to hold on to the power that they used to have.
Especially
we have laws in effect.
The soft
we have laws in effect to do everything.
It's the set out. It doesn't matter though, because it's the soft arm of tyranny, just like healthcare and education.
Oh hell yeah!
I would absolutely agree. I mean, we're a long ways away from the old triangle T-shirt factory.
7-year-olds going to work, working 14 hours a day because they couldn't go to school.
Yeah, leave that for the Amish to do.
Yeah, you know, it's
yeah.
Gosh, your kids,
they got child labor, but we could pay minimum wage. We have.
Yeah, but they're a religion, Ryan. They can do that kind of thing.
God's not real. God, looking awfully great over there in the green pasture of child barn raising.
Yeah. Well.
She complaints there. Why? Religion exemption. What about a vaccine exemption because of religion? No, shut up and take your shot, peasant.
Yeah. I was just watching an article today about the existence of humans and dinosaurs together.
What does that have to do with the political program, Dave?
Well, because politics and the science all work in the same thing.
Dinosaurs
They're trying to mind fuck the American people and everybody else.
I seen a fucking thing. I'll get to Decembertainment this week.
Wow, we're not even done with the show yet? Wow.
No, because you're talking about dragons and fucking dinosaurs.
No, dinosaurs.
I'm not.
I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a program for everybody to enjoy. It's going to be
It's actually called
dinosaurs versus aliens.
It's actually called it's actually called Dinosaurs and Dragons, and it was on Tubi. It was one of the Tubi. Yeah, Tubi. It's one of the
Tubi?
Tubi is free.
It's it's poverty.
It's poverty TV if you can steal the neighbor's Wi-Fi. They got some really raunchy shit on. I'm surprised. They got
the last bit of cartoons.
Watching your smut on Tubi?
Yes, sometimes.
Watching Tubi smut. Right.
Problem is, I can't get away with it at the home because I'm afraid her mom's gonna walk out and watch me watching something that's a little bit rawer than she's used to seeing.
Dad is a special.
Well, if they're used to Disney, they're used to all the sexual.
I want to go out. Listen, I would love to end my evening tonight by going out to one of the local really shitty titty bars and having a drink with them.
No, what you do is you get your COVID vaccine and your passport ready, and you head up to the old Sundowner.
Ain't never gonna happen.
A couple of loonies and toonies will go a long way for you.
I haven't been to the Sundowner. Listen, I used to go. What the hell?
Yo, all right, no, we're done with this.
Don't tangent me, damn it! I'll take it for a week.
Yeah.
If you want to be our Elsa, you have to come down next weekend.
What am I being?
No, he's not going to be a Disney princess.
He is going to be our Elsa.
They want you to be Elsa.
Tell her to let it go, bro.
Let it go. Let it go.
He said, let it go. Sorry, I put you in character.
Your dad could be Kristoff.
Kristoff.
Why can't I be
Kristoff?
I can do that. Thank you.
Yo, serious question.
Why am I Kristoff there?
He wants to know if there's hot moms there.
Kaya will be there. She is single and ready to mingle.
She's not a mom.
She's not a mom, but she's single and ready to mingle.
He specifically requested a hot mom.
Hey, she's Nolan's second mom. That counts.
He can fix that.
Biologically, I think Ryan's really big on the biological aspect.
Yeah. Hey, more.
Wink, wink.
Okay, well, when she has one, then Ryan will be interested. He wants a mom.
Yeah, he wants a mom. He can make her one.
He's only been with one person.
I want a momless kid. I just bring up moms because if I'm dressing up like Elsa, probability is there's not going to be like single hot girls there. It's probably just going to be hot moms.
Listen, when I was in
but if they go with like their cousin, like, oh, it's my little godson, I'm like, oh my god, let it go.
Listen, I was in junior high drama club, had to wear the dress, and I got more.
I don't care about your high school boy.
Right, we can talk more about Ryan cross-dressing later.
Okay,
Jesus Christ.
Every successful actor who's ever been on TV is cross-dressed at least once.
Yeah, well, check it. I put on ladies' underwear, but I'm not going there today.
Think about
this. This is a political program. You're hand grenading my studio. Studio is sacred. So, Dave, I assume that it's my turn here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, a couple things here. We already talked about political Stockholm syndrome. I was right again. Good job, Dave. Kathy Griffin came out, and she talked about how Will Smith should apologize and all these other crazy things, right? Coming from the girl who cut off the president's head and had it all bloody and just waiting there and said it was like this thing and she wasn't going to apologize. Now, granted, Trump wrecked her and everybody else did. And she was like, remember when she shaved her head and said Trump ruined me?
But she's a comedian, right?
Well, wasn't that called at that time an attack on comedy?
No. Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, they did. Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
But that's different.
All right. The Will Smith slap.
Yeah.
I got to level with you.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be fake, right? Like the actual act or Chris Rock. But the whole thing is a theatrical performance of some kind. Because Will Smith dated a whore and married her, who loved Tupac more than him. And she's always wanted Pac.
More than Kamala Harris loves Tupac?
No. She's always talked about Will Smith was going to kill himself over this 304. Okay? He talks about it in the book that he wrote about. And it's because he'll never live up to Pac's image and all this other stuff. Shows his insecurity or whatever all these other people are talking about. He married a whore. And this is what they do to you. The wrong woman can ruin your life. So keep your seat sacred, gentlemen.
I'm not saying it is or I'm not saying it was or was not faked. But I think I told you this already. Somebody I was talking to was like, there's no way it was faked. It's not possible. I was like, do you know what the Oscars are for? You don't think they could have pulled off that kind of performance if they were to fake it?
Yeah, a guy who won like the best actor.
He won. He was the winner. He wasn't just invited there. You don't think that guy could pull that off?
One of the best performed and trained persons. I mean, you remember I Am Legend, all of the Men in Black stunts and all of that other stuff. You think he didn't train to look the part at least and be able to do most of the part? The man's a trained dude.
Well, the whole idea,
Keanu Reeves.
the whole idea
serious.
is that Hollywood is so disconnected from the world that they really think that they can just lie and fake and cheat and steal.
I mean,
their
at least
way
he didn't
into
play
our
Alec
lives,
Baldwin.
and they do. But the point, it doesn't matter. These people are disconnected. Will Smith assaulted somebody on stage. This is what I actually thought of.
I thought it was fake from the get-go.
After it all happened, all I thought about, the death of comedy is really what we're talking about here, right?
Sure.
But what's more important,
That's the sad
what
thing.
happens at the next mayor rally or presidential rally?
Well,
Now
so to your point,
remember Punch a Nazi?
the
Crowd
death of
that sort.
yeah. So the death of comedy is actually just symbolism for something much worse, which is the death of the First Amendment.
Yes. And without the First Amendment.
And comedy in a weird way is kind of like the last line of defense in that kind of thing.
It is.
Yeah, because you can say the things that no one else is saying because you're trying to be funny, and that's the only way that we can all kind of like either laugh about those insecurities or like figure out how to navigate these weird feelings. Because comedians by default are more open to like be embarrassing to themselves enough to open up to these like
They're not
emotions.
afraid.
Well, they're just open-minded. But to people who aren't open-minded, it's easy to judge them. And you're just like, no, man, like, they're like, you're fucked in the head. It's like, no, it's not like what I think. It's just like what I was able to think. Like, I don't believe this. I'm just like, this is something I do. I don't necessarily believe the shit I say. Like, believe it like a moral, like, I'm going to live this out. But I say things because I can be creative with saying.
Sheltered people.
It's not sheltered, Dad. It's ideology comes from biology, man. It's personality is ingrained in biology too.
Yeah,
like it's not all
people that don't live
openness. You
don't
can't
understand it.
but you can't teach openness to somebody.
No,
Dad. It's
no,
not like
no, that can't be taught.
Like
It's
everybody is not creative.
You have to have it.
It's just the way it works.
No,
it's not
we're not
creativity.
creative.
Actually has no purpose in getting us here as humans. But that's besides the point. The point of it is the death of comedy is all fine and dandy, but we're actually seeing like the death of the being able to just speak rational like I am even, or trying to have a debate without somebody getting up and fucking punching me.
Well, question is,
and then everybody stand up and applaud after, and then literally give the guy an award.
Right, but without
talk about acting Stockholm syndrome.
But without creativity, would men have changed at all, or would we still be banging rocks against each other trying to make a spearhead?
The thing with creativity is it's just risky because it's either because
life's risky.
No, but the thing with being creative, it's not that, because being creative means you already naturally think outside the box. And a lot of people who are successful normally, like people that run a business like a McDonald's or a pizza place, that's like millions of people do that. Millions of people have to open a store in their life, right? It dates back to all of humanity, just running a stall right at the market.
But maybe to your dad's point, though, in order to advance and evolve, you had to think outside the box to grow, to use tools, to create fire, to make the wheel.
Right, but not everybody is creative today. So that means our ancestors, not everybody who reproduced was creative naturally.
No, not everybody is, but it did help advance society.
Right.
But I don't necessarily think you need creativity to build tools, because humans themselves get we're very good with not using a lot of things to make something substantial from nothing. We can do that very well. And I wouldn't call that necessarily creativity. And neither would the people who make creativity say it's creativity, because creativity means that you think outside of the things you already
art
know.
It has no other purpose except to be art.
Right, but it's everything.
Right.
Like, what was creative about Leonardo da Vinci was he thought outside the box and thought about slowing down erosion. He liked the architecture, but he was the first guy to think about putting like wooden planks in water, so when water would come down, it would naturally go around bridges, and it wouldn't erode as much.
Right.
But that is creativity. Like, people can build a bridge that doesn't require creativity, even though you can be creative building bridges.
You need somebody before it even gets built to put it into reality and a thought process.
You can make a creative looking bridge, but it doesn't mean it took creativity to make the bridge.
Right.
But the first bridge might have taken creativity, or would have.
Necessity.
Because what were they doing before that, right? Just jumping and hope they made it?
Yeah, no, but right. Yes and no. Like, I know what you mean. Like, creativity made the wheel, right, which allowed us to do. Yeah, there's truth to that, but I think to even go further, like, we needed to build a bridge, and that's why we built a bridge. The thing that changed was maybe the way we built bridges.
Well, not the entire population has any idea what creativity is or how to use it. I totally believe, agree with you on that.
It's not my opinion. It's not like people aren't naturally.
There are non-creative people, and people that are creative don't understand how they can think.
Well,
because they just kind of like, it's kind of like a vanilla ice cream kind of sundae, nothing but vanilla.
Speaking of vanilla,
that's Biden's favorite kind of ice cream, I believe.
2 scoops, please. Speaking of vanilla,
Nancy's freezer.
Speaking of vanilla,
it's just cold.
Speaking of vanilla, speaking of vanilla, I saw an article today. The New York State was going to freeze Seneca Indian casino bank accounts, and they did. This sounds awfully a lot like those Canadian truckers that we don't hear about anymore.
Yeah, I'd like to know how the state can violate federal treaty.
Doesn't, Dad? We know why, because they don't give a fuck. Okay? We don't have to answer.
Time for us to answer.
Look. I'm bringing it up to just say, they're gonna do it to you. They're doing it to the second-class civilians we always hear about.
It's time to change the friggin' game, then.
They're already doing it. Don't think they're not going to do it to mom and pop shop or whatever.
There's going to be tire fires on the thruway again?
They've already. Speaking of tire fires,
you folks see that. Your generation hasn't seen that.
We're not going to see that, Dad.
We saw entire cities burn.
No. The Indians
were just part of the car that was on fire.
The Indians will suddenly get mad and shut off the thruway, and they have the right to because it goes to their sacred land, and they can just shut it off. And anytime the state violates a treaty, it's just as bad as a federal violation of treaty. And
fine. Let them burn. Look.
It's their property.
Look. Let them burn tires on throughway. Who gives a fuck? Because you know what? They're going for everything you own nothing. Welcome to New World Order. I don't care about what they did in the 80s when they're talking about 2043 of me owning nothing. The 80s don't matter. They don't matter. They bet to even Dave's point, we watched whole cities burn. So tire fires on throughday are nothing.
I told you honestly how I feel about that. I'm going to watch my
So all the same. 2 quick points here. I'll get to my Decembertainment.
For a half hour.
Viking TV shows. I was at the movies this week. I wonder why.
Oh.
And
Batman lives.
I seen a trailer about Vikings, and this has been a thing. Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out a few years ago. The Last Kingdom's a TV show on Netflix. Vikings was a TV show on Hulu. All very good and successful, blah, 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 blah. I bring it up because it's not a coincidence that the very time that we're hearing about building back better and equity and you own nothing and making me feel guilty for the things of slavery that 99% of people never imagined or never experienced. And then at the same time all that's happening, I'm watching all of the Anglo-Saxon, like European growth between all these fantasy shows of like, I mean, you could even go into The Witcher and everything else, but that is like the idea of like Europeans and all these growth. But Vikings in particular, there is the gnomon that they have raided, right? They're raping and pillaging and they're killing all these things. It's not really true. It happened absolutely. Obviously, we always talk about war. I only bring it up because we need to pay attention to these things. They always use these things very specifically. I won't doubt if these things are ran by communist cocksuckers that are brainwashing us to like rewrite our history as European descendants.
Hollywood?
Yeah, European didn't know soap until the Vikings.
Another thing I saw, speaking of European, I seen a video this week of farmers in the middle of Ukraine driving over landmines that looked like they were plastic $1 store landmines. I don't believe Russia laid anti-tank landmines on the middle of the thruway in a 5x4 strip, and people are driving over them. When I keep reading,
say TikTok? Can you say TikTok?
Yeah,
TikTok
like
video.
Every other day, I'm seeing like, oh, Russia's beaten behind, and then they're like, why NATO needs more funding to stop it. It's just like, make up your mind.
Which is it, right?
Stalemate. We're at a stalemate, and then we're hearing Russia's progressing and shelling cities. And then I got to think about not owning anything in the future. Be like, man, I wonder why you guys are just like, I don't know, stoking the flame.
Meanwhile, one of the video game companies has successfully sued one of the news companies for using its video footage without permission.
Oh, that's weird. Why would they do that?
Because it looks just like Kiev getting blown up.
Obviously, Dad, this is the problem with digital imaging.
Oh my goodness!
And to go even further,
why did Obama make digital imaging friggin'?
We know why, Dad. They're taking over our country. Russia has greenlit that they can have knockoff brands of all the companies. So there's like an imitation McDonald's, an imitation IKEA.
They've opened, my girl not so soft.
Yes, literally. Look. As funny as we're making this is all cute and shit, Dad, for real. But like, this is the same shit China does, and this is the same shit Apple says. Well, we got to work with China because if we don't, they're gonna make their own Apple. So this is why we have to work with cocksucking communists, and then make. Dad, I'm being serious though. Like, it's not funny because then they.
Well, what do we expect? What do we expect? We let our people.
They bring these.
With these demons.
I know. Look, but Dad, they bring these filters here, and this is where we see the COVID filter. That's how this shit manifests.
Why don't we just?
So we're watching it.
House, then?
We're watching it right now, and it's just stuff to watch.
I mean, anybody who knows anything about history knows how the house is clean. There's only one way.
All right, last thing before Decembertainment, Dad's drunk ass. Decembertainment this week.
Yeah.
After this last point, I'm sorry. I seen a thing. There's a guy, he's an influencer on the internet. His name is Ty Lopez, and I've heard various things about him, but I follow him because he's an entrepreneur, speaks about confidence and all these great things. He has a good story, too. Come from nothing. He's worth millions. But awesome. I keep hearing, we talked about how Bill Gates owns all this farmland, right? Mm-hmm. And how it's all GMO, basically, and he's a big corporate farmer. Ty Lopez was on the internet this week shit-talking Bill Gates, saying that we can feed everybody naturally. Basically, the state of Pennsylvania is big enough that they can have enough farmland to feed everybody in America. We do it now. And he's saying all this stuff. So this is the lie that they're planning now, that we're going to need big pharma. We're going to need, these big farm factories and all this shit. So just keep it. It's just cool to see the internet win. Like these, and it only matters if we keep talking about it. I mean, Ty Lopez may not change the world, but that guy bought like 140,000 acres in Pennsylvania to start growing organic food. He's making it the old way. So he's putting where his money mouth is, but he knows the value in the. You control. Kevin came on this program forever ago. If you control the food, you control the people. So
can I add a side? Why don't they make Walmart put all solar panels on top of the roofs of their building?
I came on this program and talked about how I seen signs that said we should save our farmland and
should be able to power the entire country with just on the Walmarts.
They're building one right in a land dump here in Broadway.
All right, why should they put them on farmland? Mm-hmm. No reason for it.
All right, Decembertainment this week.
Other places that are better suited.
I finally saw Batman.
It's about time.
It was a pleasure to see you, man.
I finally saw Batman this weekend. And I like it.
Okay.
Go on. Catwoman's hot. I like that.
Okay, so that's good. That's a good start.
Yeah, she's black too, or tan, whatever.
He mentioned something that I'm in the movie. I don't understand what that means.
How do you know it's Catwoman? Does she tell you?
Well, the thing is since I'm a Batman expert, I was able to like Batman. I went with my brother as well. So like while I was watching, I kind of talk during movies, especially first time, because I love breaking apart movies, right? Like I love commentary on movies.
Well, that's the put in you, Ryan.
Yeah, but I've read probably I've read over 1,000 Batman stories, like individual different stories and comics, right? So like I'm pretty well familiar with the character, and like to actually see this is the first Batman movie I've really like watched and been able to just rip apart. That's just like a new Batman reboot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was so cool because there's so many like little Easter eggs of like certain names of books and like certain sayings and like just certain way the dialogue worked out. Like honestly, like looking at the film, it was a little long. Like the pace was a little like it kind of dips. Like I'm not saying they could cut like 15 minutes from the movie, but they might have been able to cut 15 minutes from the movie and like kept it a little faster speed. But I'm not mad at it because I enjoy the character and like the world and stuff. But that aside. Matt Reeves did a phenomenal job directing, and I like the cinematography. A lot of the fight scenes were all long action, like uncut. So like they were like fighting for like 15, 20 seconds, like all like old school choreographed, not this shitty digital image finishing later. Like
cuts and cuts and cuts.
So it was just cool, like seeing this drawn out. It looked like comic book panels, which I always look for in comic book movies in particular. I've talked about storyboards, and that's how all movies start, basically. But in comic book movies, you can literally take those panels and make a movie, which makes them so fucking cool when they do it right. And my favorite scene probably in the movie, it was like 5 seconds long, but it was Batman fighting in a tunnel, and it was all dark, and the only light there was him fighting the guys and their guns going off. So you'd like see him in like different segments fighting the different dudes, but it was all one shot, right? It was probably like that whole 10 or 15 second fight scene was uncut, no interruptions. The light is just well executed, like stuff like that throughout the whole movie. Obviously, it being a Batman movie, most people think about just the fight and stuff, but Batman is a detective. This was like a detective movie. It was like watching Law and Order, basically. He was talking to the cops, and there was like a lot of investigations and riddles because the main Riddler is the main villain, which was great. And and it was funny to bring up my dad. I wanted my dad to go with us, but he was a bum and didn't come. And I always say I'm Batman, right? It's like a joke. I don't like necessarily mean that jokingly, though. I relate a lot to the character, and that's why I love him so much, right? But so I took my little brother with me. Dad's birthday is Monday the 4th. Josh's is the 5th, right? So it's just like I'm going to be out of town. We'll spend some time together, right? And my dad is a carpet installer. He's installed floors my whole life. Basically his whole life, 40 years. 40 years in the trade, can do anything, right? Grace 4-layer, I know all this shit. And there's a tool, it's called a carpet. This thing looks like a little shovel head. It's just like you push it and like do it around the edge. Stair tool? Yeah, like a stair tool around the edge of the baseboard, right? Stair tool. So basically the whole movie comes down to using that tool to uncode the last riddle. And I just thought it was super funny. They actually like made reference in a Batman movie about a carpet tool. You know what I mean? Like, they actually called it like a stair carpet tool and shit, dude. It was just so fucking funny. Oh my God. That like my dad was with me at the movie theater with my brother. I can't. That's like we're in the simulation. That's why I believe it, bro. Because it's the little. I can't sit for that length of time. It doesn't matter. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. A fucking. Yeah. Never in my life would carpet, my childhood thing that I saw my dad do, come back around. Jerry Lewis and Gene Martin. I forget what the hell the name of the movie was, but Jerry Lewis was installing carpet. And he had a tool belt full of all kinds of fucking tools that don't belong on the job. And they cut to a scene where they're all at the carpet installer's ball, and all the wives and the guys are on their hands and knees friggin' dancing. And it makes me laugh my ass off, and I still have flashbacks. This is my cybertainment, not you, Dad. All right?
That's classic Hollywood disconnect right there.
Yeah, you're stealing my thunder. I gotta segue as much as I can. No, you don't. You just steal my thunder. I'm the host of the show. Steal anybody's thunder. You're the As always, thank you, everybody. Go see Batman. It was great. I would give it 2 bad thumbs up, but I don't have my suit on right now. Good Robert Pattinson, honestly, they had some good stuff in there about fear, which is something Batman uses to like make people. And there was a particular shot in the beginning of the movie because they start with like the bat signal and shit. Like they don't got to get into all this extra storytelling, right? They could just. There's not a lot of Bruce Wayne, which I kind of like. I like the emo Batman. I kind of like it. It's weird, but I like it. He's like crying almost. I love it. Like emo Batman. I love it, dude. But There was like a cool shot at the beginning, and he's like talking about instilling fear into criminals and shit, right? Yeah. And the one dude like looks in the dark, and it was like he was scared. And I thought it was so cool because that's like what the character does. It like makes criminals develop a moral compass that they're like,
psychological mindfuck.
Political Stockholm syndrome. That Batman might actually be in the shadow that one time I mugged that old lady and get the shit beat out of me.
That's right.
He can't be everywhere at once, but he might be there that one time. Sleepy Joe Biden's looking out for you. Me and Dave, my father, December 17th, 73. Thank you guys for making it to the end. I appreciate it as always.
God bless y'all. Have a great night.
Follow us on YouTube.
Pray for everybody out there, man.
Couldn't wait to talk. Guy never shuts the hell. Follow us, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble especially, because, you know, free speech is on the tech now that it's not a fundamental right at the federal level. So.
The free speech version of YouTube. Everyone comment below, too. Comment happy birthday to Ryan's dad.
Thank you, man.
59.
Dave, I love you, man.
Our gift to you is a brand new show, Mondays at 7.
7 Eastern.
It's kind of cool. It freaking airs on my birthday.
Yo,
that's cool.
Catwoman was so hot in Batman.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that sex tape. I'll catch you guys later. Thank you. Bye, Dave. Bye-bye.
I forgot.
Bye-bye.
Okay. I love you guys. God bless, man.
Yeah.